What do I gotta do with top 10 video game list? Oh, because their games sucked. That's why. Oh yeah, I know my games are better. I'll have to save this one. Nobody comments on those other videos because those guys' video games suck. I'll save it. I got it. So I guess it's my turn now to tell you guys the top 10 video games of all time. The other two were wrong, I'm right. This is the real top 10 video games of all time. Starting with number 10, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. The original one, not the remake. Now this game had a lot of improvements on the last two games, so it allowed you to do ammo crafting, allowed you multiple choices throughout your gameplay. So say you wanted to either fight Nemesis or go into the police station or push him off the bridge or you jump off the bridge, it gave you a couple different branching paths, some which led to different endings and some which led to different item drops that were beneficial for you. The variety of weapons was insane compared to the last two Resident Evil games. The Mine Thrower, for one, being one of the best weapons Resident Evil has ever had, and also some of the other unlockables you could use. Different handguns, different shotguns, rocket launchers, always fun. It just improved on what the last two did and set a standard for the future of Resident Evil that I still think they haven't touched. Number 9, Sonic 2. Sonic 2 drastically improved on the first one, allowing you to have a second controllable player that you can use, as in Tails. So me, growing up with an older brother, loved being able to play as Tails. It was the funnest time playing Sega Genesis with my brother and being able to finally play a cooperative game instead of just playing Mortal Kombat and he would kill me the whole time. Tails was great because he was indestructible. You can pretty much attack any enemy you wanted without any repercussions of Sonic losing anything or dying. So using him and teamwork was a very valuable asset to beating that game. The level design was a huge improvement over the last one, especially the special stages with the whole luge kind of factor with them. And then also the sound design was beautiful. Some of the best Sonic soundtracks came out of Sonic 2. And to this day, everyone still loves Casino Night, Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant, everything. That game was full of amazingness. Number 8, Castlevania. Now I'm talking about Castlevania for the NES, the first one. This one was mind-blowing for the time. A game where you're fighting horror enemies, all from Universal Horror and other areas. Medusa, Dracula, zombies, werewolves, Gillman. The game was full of amazingness for a horror fan. Also, the whip was a very unique weapon for the time. The sub-weapons had a good variety, so you could choose between if you wanted axes, daggers, or the holy water, and especially the stopwatch. The game had amazing replay value because it was very difficult, but it also kept you humming and singing every song for every level, and the graphics for the time were mind-blowing. So I definitely would keep Castlevania on this list because it is so awesome. Number 7, Shining Force. Shining Force was Sega Genesis's attempt to get into the RPG realm, and it worked quite well. The game was amazing. Amazing story, amazing characters. Each individual character in your group had their own distinct personality. But unlike Final Fantasy, you could switch out your characters at any given time to give yourself the strongest type of possible team to fight the enemy. Strategy was key because you had to move everything around like a chess game. The music was beautiful in the game. The graphics worked really well. The cutscene battles were really well done for the time of Genesis. It looks very three-dimensional, and the game will allow you to keep replaying it because you always want to change up different parts of your team to want to see how well you can do with other members and see what makes them so special. Number 6, Starcraft. This was one of the first PC games I really dug into. Outside of like Wolfenstein and Doom, Starcraft really set the mode for me. The game was beautiful. Great graphics for the time, just hooked you immediately. The music was amazing. You could still hum every tune. 3 different factions to choose from, so there's constant replayable value. Different maps that you can edit and build on your own. You can play your friends against them and build on their maps. It was just a really, really cool thing to have. And it allowed us to play on Battle.net, one of the first ever internet gaming systems. Number 5, Final Fantasy, the first one, for the NES. Bought this game from a video store probably when I was 7 or 8. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I just knew I had friends that played Final Fantasy games, so I thought, hey, why not? Man, this game was mind-blowing. You being able to choose a specific team that you thought would succeed against all the monsters and everything you had to fight was unheard of at the time. Different weapons, different classes, different spells, trying to figure out a way to get in and out of places while barely scraping by. The music was phenomenal. The story wasn't as strong as future Final Fantasy games, but it still blew people's minds back in the day because no one saw a game quite as large and epic like this. Difficulty level in that game was still by far one of the hardest RPGs ever played. Now I've seen people speedrun it and they'll say it's not that difficult, but when you're 8 years old, that game is super difficult, and still to this day, me being 35, it's still pretty damn difficult. So I don't care what you say, Final Fantasy is a great game. It's hard, but it's amazing, and it definitely deserves this spot on my list. Number 4, World of Warcraft. This game changed PC gaming forever. Blizzard has always done a great job integrating multiplayer into their games, but this game completely blew everybody's mind, allowing you to play with your friends in Azeroth, choosing a side. You're either on the Alliance or the Horde. It always caused a fight between families, friends, and colleagues of who was better. Being able to pick a class and play as you want to be a priest, a hunter, a warlock, you can just keep going, and you would just pick whatever you thought meshed with your personality the most and learn the playstyle and just go for it. But then it also kept the replayability up by allowing you to create alts with all these different types of classes. Thousands of quests available, dozens of dungeons and raids to explore and dig into. There's always something to do in the World of Warcraft. You can be in a role-playing realm and you can be someone completely else than your actual self. But this game will stand the test of time as possibly the greatest PC game ever released. Number 3, The Witcher 3. This game really blew my mind. Being Polish myself, The Witcher 3 being a Polish game just completely clicked with me from the get-go. The game was beautiful. It has an amazing setting. The variety of enemies is just ungodly. The variety of gameplay is amazing. Whether you want to play as a hard-hitting tank style or fast rogue style, using spells, potions, oils, bombs, there's a million different ways you can take on enemies and complete quests. The greatest thing about this game, though, is its replayability. There's always something to discover in this game. It's really hard to 100% complete, because half the time you'll get stuck playing Gwent instead. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Now you'll remember on my Zelda list I put this as number 1 on that list, so it's hard to beat The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for me, but it still is only number 2 on the top 10 video games of all time. I've said it before and I'll say it again, this game is beautiful. Amazing sound design, amazing graphics for a Game Boy game, nothing can beat it. The first game to call the ocarina an ocarina as opposed to the flute, the first game with a trading sequence, the first game with learnable songs, and it's still the only game you can steal stuff in, so that's always fun. It just still blows my mind to this day, and it was still one of the first ever video games I ever cried at the end because I didn't want it to be done and over. Beautiful game. I just can't say enough about how awesome this game is and how much it means to me in the gaming world. If we didn't have The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, we wouldn't have gotten probably half the Zelda games we did, because this game set the tone for future Zelda games. And now, without further ado, the greatest video game of all time, Mega Man Legends for the PlayStation. Not Mega Man 64, Mega Man Legends. This game is perfect. Great graphics, amazing storyline, amazing songs, amazing sound design. The characters in the game all are fully fleshed out and have such fun personalities. Even the bad guys you want to love because they're so fun and just great characters all around. This game's just, and to me, just perfect in every way. The second game improved on it by miles, but it left us on such a bad cliffhanger that I cannot give the second game a higher rating than the first game, because if it wasn't for the first game, we never would have gotten a second game. The difficulty on this game is awesome because you can crank it up and replay the game as you please. There's so many things to explore in this game. There's so many items to unlock. There's just so much stuff to do that I can't imagine a better game that has come out ever. To me, Mega Man Legends is possibly the greatest video game of all time. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section below. Let us know what you think. Give us an idea of some other top 10 lists we can do. We're always looking for content just so you guys can see it all. Once again, be on the lookout for some throwback videos. I have some stuff in the Nerd Vault I'll be pulling out and putting up on there. There's some unfinished Star Wars stuff, some unfinished Turtles stuff. You never know what I will dig up. So, without further ado, thanks for watching Nerds Geeking Out. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and like always, rip it.